Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at pitching for today, the 23rd of April. It is Wednesday. We do have a 4-game day slate and an 8-game main evening slate ahead of us. Do not really have any weather to worry about from the looks of it. This initial game isn't much to worry about, but it's not on the early slate. As a reminder, this is a first look at pitching options for the slate. I do try to go more in depth for the members at DFS Army and in our Discord. I will be utilizing DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play in FanDuel, I would cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't as tight. You don't have to be as creative. You can get your stacks with an upper tier-ish pitcher pretty much every slate over there. So with that said, let's take a look at some of these names, starting with this 4-game early slate. Interesting matchup between Wheeler and Peterson. I think both guys are certainly viable. It's the lowest total game on this 4-game slate. Wheeler with a K prop of 6.5, juice on the over, which is a little shocking. I'd happen to look at some of the Mets bats careers against Wheeler. As a whole, they only strike out about 20% of the time against him. So that K prop is a little higher than I would have thought. Peterson's sitting at 5.5, basically a pick 'em. But where the big difference is between them, despite Philly only being minus 125 favorites, Wheeler is plus 115 to earn the W, while Peterson is plus 275. Wheeler does have two double-digit strikeout games against two of the weakest offenses, but he obviously offers the greatest ceiling on the slate at this time. Peterson has been somewhat impressive. He's going to allow a couple runs. It just seems like he does that, but a couple performances with strong Ks. One against a team in St. Louis that generally isn't striking out that much, even though I did predict that he would see a spike in strikeouts in that matchup. Uh, I think the Mets are playing a little bit better than Philly, but obviously Wheeler a better real life pitcher than Peterson. And both guys certainly in play for me. Singer and Alcantara, both guys that are going to be in play. Singer has looked pedestrian since that elite first started the season. Was decent against Seattle. Obviously, Ayers kind of ruined him a little bit. Obviously, a great matchup. The Reds are plus 110 underdogs. This game total is 8.5, which actually is the highest on this particular slate with juice on the over. Singer does have a K prop of 5.5, which is the fourth best K prop on the slate. Juice is on the under. But he has plus 160 to earn the W, which puts him third best on the slate. Miami's such a weak squad that I think Singer probably ends up one of the higher owned of the group. Looking at our projected ownership right now, Singer's lower than I would have thought. I think if we get an update closer to start time, I expect him to jump up. Definitely ahead of Reese Olson. I would expect him to be similar to Peterson or a little bit higher, to be honest. On the other side, Alcantara has not looked sharp. Um, Looked decent in the spring. Looked decent in this opener against Pittsburgh, but then kind of fell apart a little bit in the fifth. I believe a lot of this happened. Might have started in the fourth. It's obviously been almost a month now. I can't recall exactly. But just two strikeouts in his last 7 2/3. There's going to be a lot of up and downs for him in his return from Tommy John. And obviously looking to be traded prior to the deadline as well. Um, the talent's there. He's a minus 130 favorite. He's plus 210 to earn the W, which is, worse than Reese Olson is against San Diego. Um, K prop of 4.5 with juice on the over. I do think it is an inviting K matchup for him. I just hope that he's effective enough. I'm gonna have to utilize him just because He's such a strong pitcher, and obviously it's a 4 game slate. The Rodon Luis Ortiz matchup. Rodon certainly capable of dominating teams. Was dominant against Tampa Bay. Aside from walks, he's always going to have walk issues. He's generally going to have a home run issue as well. But he's a minus 155 favorite, second largest on the slate behind Reese Olson somehow. Uh, he's plus 105 during the W, which is the best on the slate, and he has the second best K prop at 6.5 with juice on the under. So getting him in arguably the best spot, even though Cleveland's just one of those pesky squads. I think they're most vulnerable against left-handed pitching. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I imagine being able to attack like Manzardo, replacing Naylor with Hedges, that sort of thing. I think probably benefits a left-handed pitcher a little bit more. So the fact that he's the cheapest of these names, obviously going to drive up ownership for him. Luis Ortiz. I really wasn't going to play him, but it's tough to ignore 18 strikeouts over his last 10 and 2/3 innings, especially with one of those performances came against a Kansas City squad that we generally don't see strike out all that much. So I am very intrigued by this performance. Obviously, the Yankees far more dangerous as a lineup than Kansas City. However, they do have some strikeouts on occasion. His K prop's 5.5 juice on the under. He's tied with Singer in that regard. He's got the worst win prop at plus 310 on this slate, so that's not exciting. Actually, it might not be the worst. I think I didn't write down Kyle Hart, but if it's not the worst, it's the second worst. With that said, like these two performances are very intriguing. The issue though is his whip, walks, home run balls. Like those are bad things against the Yankee squad. So I think I'm going to sprinkle him in, but there'll probably be a little more than the field weight. But I'm not playing Kyle Hart. I'm not playing. I'm playing Reese Olson. I'm just not. He's not going to match what Flaherty did from a strikeout standpoint. I know San Diego's overall lineup is weakened because of injuries, but I'm just not going to go there. Now let's flip over to the main slate here. Strong pitching matchup on top. Logan Webb, Freddie Peralta in a ballpark that I love taking pitching in. This is going to be pretty strongly owned, I believe. I haven't looked at our projected ownership. Yeah, the top two pitchers on this particular slate are in this game. And it makes sense. Obviously, this game has a total of 7 with juice on the under. Both pitchers have K props of 5.5 with juice on the over. Webb is actually plus 150 during the W. Peralta is plus 200. Peralta hasn't had the big strikeout games. 8 in his first start, 8 in the second, but in 8 innings. 6 and less since. I think he has the better matchup of the two, but Logan Webb's just shown more so far this season. And he's just always been spectacular when pitching at home. His one home start saw him strike out 10. I don't expect him to strike out double digits in this one. But I think he's just slightly better than Peralta in this particular spot. But both guys super viable on this particular slate. Erod and Taj Bradley, two guys that have super strong upside. Erod allowed a ton of hits, but struck out 9. 9 plus Ks in 2 out of his last 3 starts. A lot of upside, but there's volatility. He can allow a lot of base runners. He hasn't given up a home run since first start of the year. He's minus 142 with a K prop of 5.5 juice on the under. But he is plus 170 to earn the W, which is, I think, tied for third. There's a lot of pitchers with plus 170. I think he's behind Webb and Lorenzen on the slate. Taj Bradley on the other side, I don't like picking on Arizona with pitching. And Bradley's super volatile, but when he's on, he can rack up some strikeouts and dominate. But when he's off, it's walks, home runs, big innings happen. Uh, and that's something that Arizona's very good at: drawing walks, home runs, big innings. Uh, I think I'm going to sprinkle him in, but this game total is sitting at 9 with juice on the under, so that's not exciting. But his K prop is 5.5 juice on the under. Another name here at top, David Festa. Again, going to be a popular name because he's taking on the White Sox. Might not even finish 5 innings. Uh, I hate the Minnesota pitching or the coaching staff and what they decide to do, but strong ability. He's more of a fly ball guy, obviously a worry, but taking on the White Sox team, he's a minus 270 favorite. It's plus 170 to earn the W with a K prop of 5.5. Big issue is Oates prop 15.5, with juice pretty solidly on the under. But Festa's certainly viable. Uh, it's just he doesn't really have the same upside as the guys above him because of his capped innings number. Andrew Haney, somebody that's had some pretty strong performances so far this year. Uh, Definitely going to be in play here, even though his game total is 9 with juice on the under. I'm not as worried against the Angels offense. Obviously, they have some guys with some power. His K prop's 5.5 with juice on the under, plus 200 to earn the W. His K prop or his out prop is at 17.5 with juice on the over. So that's one of the highest few on the slate. Uh, so I think we just have to play him. I'll have to look into the Angels' numbers so far against left-handed pitching again, but Falter looked pretty solid against them last night. Boyd against the Dodgers, probably not going to go there, but I don't mind it. I didn't think the weather was terrible. I mean, yes, it is blowing slightly out again. Um, but Boyd is just one of those guys that I think can sneakily have a strong outing. Excuse me, but do we want to really pick on the Dodgers? Imanaga, better pitcher than Boyd. Um, Started out decent, even though it was an error that put up some runs, but the Dodgers woke up as well. So maybe we just have to avoid Boyd in that spot. Bowden Francis is somebody that stands out to me here. Um, I believe he's been really strong against right-handed bats, and he struggled mostly with lefties. Maybe I'm thinking about that backwards. And if that's the case, as I dig in, uh, obviously we know this Houston lineup is going to be super right-hand heavy. Yeah, he has absolutely dominated right-handed bats so far. He is minus 105, so they're slight underdogs, but he's plus 170 to earn the W despite being a slight dog. Oh, it's probably 17.5 with juice on the over. He's somebody that I think I'm going to be definitely over the field on this slate. We see him at 14.5%. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if his percentage drops a little bit as people dig in and or think more about how Bassett struggled last night. But Francis is somebody that's definitely intriguing to me. Another one that's intriguing, Lorenzen, just because it's Colorado. His K numbers haven't been there the last couple starts, but he dominates left-handed bats. I expect Colorado to be pretty left-hand heavy in their lineup. And like I mentioned, he is the favorite on the slate at plus 125 to earn the W. His outs props at 17.5 with juice on the over. And Kansas City's minus 192 favorites. It's just a strong spot for Lorenzen. Really, the only other name that intrigues me some is Gusto, but it's not a great K matchup for him. But he's kind of in, he's kind of impressed me a little bit with some of his ability. Probably not going to get there, but he's a name I want to pay attention to as the season progresses. Um, pick, Pitching between Texas and the Athletics not really intriguing to me, even though like I play Sears a decent amount, but I kind of like some of these Texas bats against left-handed pitching, so I'm gonna probably pass in that spot. But there we have it. There's a first look at pitching on today's slates. If you enjoy what it brings you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.